Hi, everyone. This is the Volta TST meeting for June 9th, 2020. We have a few items on the agenda, and then I think we are going to get to a Juror review. This meeting is recorded and it will be posted to YouTube, so keep that in mind. The first item I think we have is from David Bainbridge. It's a discussion of I believe this is a release name in the Helm charts.
Yes.
So you posted there's a mailing list message about this.
Yeah. So real quickly, there's already a patch out there actually to add release name as a selector label, which I think needs to go and actually affects nothing. It's just a cleanup. But the second question is, do we add the release name as a prefix to the resource name so that when we deploy multiple Volta instances within a single namespace, there is name differentiation? So for example, today, if I tried to install Volta twice in the default namespace, it would fail because of resource name conflicts. This would mean that when I do a Helm install -name foo, I would get resources foo-volta-rw-core and foo-volta-open OF agent. So you kind of get the release name as a prefix, but that allows us to deploy Volta more than once in a single namespace. Why this is relevant is when we get to deploying multiple stacks, it will allow us to deploy multiple stacks in a single namespace if an operator so chooses, as opposed to only support multiple stacks via multiple namespaces. That is the long and the short of it. And we're just kind of looking for community feedback, community thoughts on whether we should actually go forward with this change, after 2.4, which is reasonable as well, or just take the patch we have now, which adds release name as a selector label, but doesn't change any of the resource names.
So Sarkant is one person who's been trying multiple stacks. Unfortunately, I don't see him on the call.
Yeah, he's been doing it via multiple different namespaces, which is a legitimate way to deploy. The question is, do we also want to have not that requirement, right? Let the operator choose. The Helm best practice seems to be, if there's an expectation that your Helm chart will be deployed more than once in a single namespace, then it's a best practice to prefix it with a release name.
Does this affect service discovery within these between?
It'll change the service names, so the service names will be prefixed with their Helm release name as well. So you'd have foo-volta-API as a service name. And then again, there's a patch already in there that I'm trying to get committed that uses those release names as part of the selector, so that a service will only select those pods to support it, which are in the same release. And again, that's just a best practice. That current patch is a best practice and actually doesn't affect anything in the names. It just helps. It's a little more specific about the selector. So it comes down to, do we expect to be able to deploy Volta more than once in a single namespace? I think yes. Other people may differ. And it's perfectly legitimate to say, hey, let's push this till after 2.4, the end of the month.
I think
Go ahead.
Engine functionality, and you have it already ready, it's fine to have it in now. And given the fact that having the ability to install them in the same namespace doesn't force you to do so, I think it's a useful feature to have.
Okay.
I would concur. If it's not going to, if it's working with the current CI process, then it seems reasonable because it just adds extra flexibility.
There will have to be a change to kind Volta to support port forwarding to the new service names. Actually, I think I might have already put that in so that it works with either way. So it should be invisible to the CI process because I can commit it in the right order. All right. After the current patch out there that adds release name to the selector gets put in, there's some good best practices that I added. I'll push this one forward. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, David. The next item we had was ONOS liveness and readiness checks.
That's me, Zach.
Okay.
So there is I just wanted to make everybody aware that there is a patch that is a proposal from Radisys to change a little bit how we do readiness and liveliness checks in ONOS. So I just want to make sure that everybody takes a look at it and is okay with this. And I'll bring it up. I've asked it to discuss it in the ONOS team itself to make sure that we are on the same page with the ONOS guys. But I'm looking here more at the Helm experts. Please do take a look if this does make sense to you. I think it's valid. There's some uniform across the string and arrays of the ONOS apps and a few other things. So please do take a look and provide some feedback.
Is this just kind of informational about ONOS? You're not looking to carry this same pattern forward to Volta?
We're not using the Volta chart anymore. The chart that is in under Open Chord Helm chart, that is not used anymore. That is why we need to make changes to that Helm chart under GitHub, because that is the master Helm chart that we are using right now with ONOS.
Is the issue there's just no liveliness checks today, and so they're adding them? I guess I'm trying to figure out how this affects Volta.
No, there are liveliness checks today. It's just that this adds an app check, meaning that we assume ONOS is ready and alive only if all the requested apps are actually active.
Okay. No, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I like that. Okay.
Is there any desire to also change the timeout in the liveliness check? I think now it's set to 5 minutes, and sometimes Volta just sits there forever waiting for ONOS to report that it's ready, while ONOS is actually ready faster than 10 minutes.
Sure, we can do that. It's fine by me.
There are timeouts for both of the checks that at some certain point Kubernetes will consider the pod dead and restart it if it hasn't become live and ready.
If anybody has any comments, feel free to put them on the patch itself. And I think I'll ask Kishore from Radisys to take a look at it. And he can definitely work on those.
Okay, that sounds good, Andrea. Thanks for bringing that to everyone's attention.
No problem. Thanks, everybody. I'd like to get this merged sooner rather than later. If anybody has any objections about bringing this in 2.4, please raise them on the GitHub issue.
Okay. Alrighty, thanks, Andrea. The next item we had was Juror review. And I think Sarav was going to take that over. I made you co-host, Sarav. If you want to take over the screen, I can stop sharing.
Sure, thanks. Okay, so hopefully you all can see my screen.
Can you make the font a little bigger?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so as you can see, Volta 2.4, we want to release it end of this month. Actually, what we will do is code freeze, rather branching out as we have been doing for the past few releases, end of the month, June 30th. So that's exactly 3 weeks away from today. And then we'll go through some QA for a week and release it early July. Okay, so code freeze, or rather branch off, is 3 weeks from today, June 30th. You'll see that we have about around 350 issues, 250 of which are done. This view does not show us subtasks. So if you actually go and click on details, you'll find that there's actually more than 350 and 250. So a little bit more, because some folks like to create subtasks. I'd prefer actually that each issue is a separate story. Sometimes it makes sense to make subtasks, so that's fine. There's about 47 issues that are in progress and another 50 to do. So we'll be taking a look at basically these tasks, but I prefer doing it in the view that was up. So it's this. So here, if I just click on 2.4, you can see that some epics are not highlighted, and other epics that have stories in 2.4 are in fact highlighted. So let's start with logging as one of the epics. And as you can see, there are these stories in logging. And if I simply click on the, well, actually, all of these have the same priority. But I see that 4 of them are in progress. So would David or someone like Divya or someone from Infosys, Girish, if you're online, can you tell me a little bit about these logging stories? And
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I can probably, this is Girish, I can provide an update.
Go ahead.
Actually, all these stories are actually on 2 tracks. One is the track where we are trying to introduce that Kibana, Fluentd, and Elastic, right, combination to have that log analytics UI.
Yeah.
So Divya is working on that, and patch has been pushed. So that particular track, I believe that should get completed this week or early next week. I think we should have everything done on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's another track which we are doing on log correlation and span introduction, right? So there are around 6 JRs related to that. In fact, there are 9 JRs. 3 of them we have pushed it to future because they are more optimization, which can probably happen in the next release.
Right.
But 6 of them, I think we are actively working on, and we hope to complete it by probably 19th or 26th. That's a plan, I think. Probably 2 weeks down the line. So that's the plan. I think we're aiming to complete the log correlation and open tracing related introduction, so that the log can be correlated. So that's, I think, a high level update on these 2 tracks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody has any questions on the logging front for Girish or anyone from Infosys? Any questions? Looks like we're on track then for getting this done for 2.4. So that's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there are just a few things which are like more advanced thing which you can probably wait for the next release. So there are 3 such JRs which we have marked as future. So just to let you know, I think which will take up next.
Yeah. So I see a bunch of these in the marked as future.
Yeah.
But then in 2.4 we have these. Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on to BAL 3.4. And here we see that there is at least one blocker item that in BAL 3.4 is actually a regression. We find that bandwidth profiles are not enforced in the downstream direction. This used to work in BAL 3.2. So I think the BAL brigade is talking. Broadcom is aware of this. So I think this will likely get fixed in BAL 3.4.6. something. Aside from that, there are at least a couple of bugs that I can see. Girish, this time Girish Kaudra is who I'm referring to. Are you aware of these bugs, and do you want to shed more light on them if they are getting done in BAL 3.4 timeframe? Sorry,
Yeah,
Volta 3.2.4 time.
For the brigade, I think the only high priority item are the last 2 ones.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I don't. I mean, we wish to complete all of this in this release, but I definitely would take a call 1 week before the end of this month to either move out or keep them, based on where we are. But
did you say this one is high priority, 3146?
Right now we are living with a workaround. So I mean, it's working fine for us. But Suchitra can comment. So right now we have a 3-minute timeout after which we assume that the OLT is up, rather than using a regex pattern to see if the OLT is really up. So there were some issues with we saw after we moved to BAL 3.4. So I don't know, Suchitra can take a call on that, but the highest priority is 3125.
Yeah.
And the rest I would take a call 1 week before the end of this month to either keep it or move out of the release.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so for 3146, we can take a look at towards the end of the month, and this is one of the keyword from the older code tester repo that needs to be updated.
And by the way, so 3011 I think is also high priority, but we are waiting for 3.4.6.5. I'm not sure what is that, to have that feature integrated. I think it's important for, especially for DT, I believe.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to test. This is by far the epic with the most number of issues that remain. So let's try and categorize some of these. Let's look at the high priority items. And so we have one blocker, which is the sanity test for the Turk Telecom workflow, but I think we've made a lot of good progress over the last couple of weeks. So I'm very confident that, you know, ONF working with Netsia, we've made such good progress that we should have this in time for the release. Aside from that, let's take a look at some of the other high priority items. We wish to validate data plane functionality by updating bandwidth profiles. So, Suchitra, do you want to talk about this? Or Gayatri, if
Yeah.
you're there from Infosys, yeah.
Yeah, the data plane functionalities are still being worked on, so it will take some more time before we can close these tickets. There are a few things that we need to change, and also they need to be integrated into our Jenkins pipeline. They have been integrated for some time back, but still there is some work to do, and it might take a few more days for us to finish those.
Okay. But you think this is reasonable in Volta 2.4 timeframe?
Right. Yeah, it should be done.
Okay. Validating technology profiles with PVITs, PVIT verification. This is currently being attempted by Suraj. Suraj, are you here from Infosys? Suraj is not online.
Yeah, again, these things are being worked on. This is also data plane verification, and Andy and Suraj are working on this, and it will need some work on it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Andy. I'm assisting Suraj with this, and I'm hoping to get this working with him by the end of the week.
Right. Thank you, Andy. The sanity test I've already updated. I've been a little bit involved with that. So in-band is another big thing that we wish to get in by the Volta 2.4 timeframe. I think we have a fairly good idea about how doing that. Any concerns, Girish?
No, we should be able to do that. We have a lot of experience from Radisys and DT.
Yeah.
So we have a fair bit of idea on what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Andy, this is about hardware test on the Volta Helm charts repo.
Yes,
Is this
in
done,
fact,
or?
it is done. Yeah, I forgot to check that off.
Okay. Right, thank you. And then there is a bug related to deletion, and this is something that was created over the weekend. Sujitra, is this still right? Okay, I asked you
Yes.
that.
Right. This is the new latest regression that we are seeing on master, and we have reverted this particular patch, and we went back before we could hit this issue.
Oh, so this is in Volta on us.
Yes, Volta on us, and it still needs to be analyzed and fixed.
Okay, so this is, I think Andrea is looking at this, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to assign this to Andrea.
Yeah, that's me. I do have possibly a fix that I am in the process of building a custom image for right now. There are actually two things that I found out. One specifically a fix for this one, and one is a more generic fact that we actually provision multiple meters for the AT&T workflow, but I'll create Jira stories for everything.
Okay, do you need more Jira stories, or is this good enough to track it?
That one is good enough for the issue that we are seeing, but there's still the fact that we're installing multiple meters upon port discovery in the AT&T workflow. And I believe this is related to the issues that Matteo is seeing on scale with the AT&T workflow.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Let's look at some of the in-progress issues that were not high priority. Disable enable ability pawn port. Hardik, is this still ongoing?
Yes, Saurav. I have the patch for this already on Jared, but I was facing some issues passing that on the Tucson pod. So I'm kind of reworking on it, but really haven't got the chance to try it again because there were some other issues on all those. So probably this week I'll work on this again and try to get this as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. Is Gerald online for starting Volta containers in a specific order? This is Gerald from Atran. Are you online? No? Okay. So Chitra, are you aware of the status of, it's been around for a while, right? Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we reduced the priority on this, and then we are not working on this until some time because we had some discussion, but I forgot about that. But I can comment it on the ticket.
Okay, thanks. We talked about these two high priority ones. Another low priority one is regarding radius server mode. Switching radius server mode from auto to status server. Okay, I'm not sure what this is about, but again, I think Gayatri is not online, right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of any progress on this work?
No, not yet. Probably in this week's brigade call, we'll be discussing. This is new, something new when they started to work on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then verification of ONOS, I guess flow entries for the deletion of the OLT. This is Hema who's working on this. Again, not clear. What is the progress on this one?
No, they'll be still working on these.
Okay, thank you.
No particular.
Yeah, these have been around for a while. Both these two stories, also the one from Geralt. So either there is progress on it or we move it out to future. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Unit test for OpenOLT adapter. Girish, I see a closed Jira over here. Is this done?
No, this task is not done yet. So I had to add a few unit test cases for a critical bug fix that was done some time back. So this is still in progress. I will complete this before this release.
That sounds fine. Thank you. Strategies to speed up tests. Andy?
So there has been some progress with speeding up BBSIM tests based on changes that have gone into BBSIM. Other than that, I don't think this is a high priority task for 2.4, and so maybe it should be moved to future.
Okay. So do you want to leave this in progress and move it to the future, or you want to close this one and create new? Well, actually, no. That's just fine. Let's just move this to future, right?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So restart OF agent before subscriber gets provisioned. That is, Debashish is working on this from, is it LTTS?
Yes.
Okay. And this, something has been submitted, but it has not been reviewed yet, right?
Reviewed, and also another patch was submitted. So we still need to test it. And our pods were not available for a while for us to validate it on the pod. So we're just waiting for that.
Okay, thank you. Sanity test to incorporate multiple OLTs and ONUs. This is on the hardware pods?
Yeah, actually this is for both babysim and hardware. So it's some change in the framework of the automation. So the next ticket is also about the same. So we are changing the framework to incorporate testing on multiple OLTs and multiple ONUs, and it's a huge task. It
Yeah.
might take some more
So
time.
I don't think it's a must-have for Volta 2.4. Would you agree with that? I
Yes.
mean, yeah, we have the telecom workflow, we have data plane verification, we have in-band. Multiple OLTs, since it's a big task, it can come after 2.4, right? Is that fair?
Yes, but whenever we have some time, we just want to add something to the framework. But yes, I do agree that it's not important for.
Yeah, we can continue working on it, but I'm just saying that it's easier to keep track of it outside of 2.4. Okay, so moving the 2.4 ones out, multi-OLT ones out of 2.4. There are other epics also, like for example, the Open ONU adapter in Golang. Some things like there's at least one more that I was aware of. That work is happening right now. It's just not tracked as part of 2.4. Okay, moving on. I think we talked about that. Log collection via NONOS diagnostics tool. I think there's a Get It review for it. So I think it just work is in progress. Hardik, there is something about there are deleted ONU, which is part of the DT workflow, that it's discovered again. Is this work in progress? Yeah.
Yes, Saurav, this is work in progress.
Okay. And so integrating in-band into our build pipelines, Andrea?
That's in progress. Unfortunately, it holds the fact that we got sidetracked on many other things, and this takes lower priority. And it's there. I believe it is working. It's just not being tested.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in-band will get in there, so that's fine. ONU soft reboot. Again, I think there is a closed Get It. Is this done? Since Hema is not online, I'm asking Suchitra.
Yes, it is done, Saurabh. Last night we just closed the patch, merged the patch, sorry.
Thank you.
Suchitra, but at the moment this is added as not ready, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what happens is that even if the code test is merged, until we actually decide when it becomes part of the regression testing, it usually is in not ready state.
Yes, Saurabh. So I was just wanted to be sure that till that time, is it okay to mark this as resolved?
I think we usually do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If necessary, we can reopen things or create new stories. But Suchitra, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, because the actual work on the task or story is complete, so we just close that. But the integration happens at a later time, sometimes based on the priority of the task or the priority of the test that we want to integrate on the pipeline. So we usually don't want to keep the tickets waiting until that long.
Okay, thank
you. Thanks. So updating Infosys port to BAL 3.4. I think Hema wrote to me yesterday that they will get it done. adding a new OLT version.
Uh,
Isn't this done?
This
No.
is the, yeah, Debian. It's actually a new hash commit that was available. So it's not done yet. Basically, I'm trying to make sure that all pods have the same hash commit. So this needs
Okay.
a while.
Okay, thank you. And I think we talked about this. So, okay, clearly there's a lot of people working on a lot of test issues. So things are in progress. I do want to check if there is anything unassigned. Okay, integrating in-band feature into a testing suite. No, okay, this is fine. We do need to get this done. And OLT disable enable, I think we need to revisit that during the last regression testing where we had to hold back people from merging more changes. We did notice a problem with this feature, so we need to revisit that. So that's okay. Okay, so that's a lot about testing. Let's move on to maintenance issues. Let's start with errors in Voltha Go unit tests. Is anyone working on this?
Yeah, I'm not.
Scott, do you know? Yeah.
I think I filed this one a while ago. I think I have not worked on it in some time. It would need. It would probably need verification whether it's still happening or not.
So the people who work with RW Core frequently, do they see such intermittent errors? Can't anyone?
Well, locally, very often I won't see that. I saw that before on Jenkins, quite frequent, but recently I've not seen it as much. There's other thing that fails on Jenkins other than that, so it's hard to say. But locally, I don't see much failure.
I haven't seen it in a while. It's possible that we've patched this particular one. Yeah, I don't know.
So Kent, can I assign this to you? And maybe if you really cannot reproduce these things, just make a call on closing it.
Just close it. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
We can open a new one if it's an issue again.
That seems reasonable. Anybody else has anything else to comment on that? Okay, thanks. Inter-adapter header may have redundant fields with the inter-container header. Okay.
Yeah, so this one here, I would put this off, and I would say that this is a possible improvement, but it's not technically a bug. Basically, what there is, I believe there was timestamps. So inter-container header is a wrapper around inter-adapter header, and I think there's sort of the same timestamp in both of them. So one could be eliminated in favor of the other. I think Ken responded with more context on it. I think Ken, if I remember right, mostly agreed with me, but this doesn't seem like a priority.
Yeah, that's correct. I'll agree with that.
Okay, I'm just going to move this to future since no one's actively working on this right now, and it's really not important right now with a lot of other fish to fry. Okay, protect concurrent access of pond resources while allocating a tech profile instance. Is Gamze online?
No, she isn't, but I can say something about it, sort of.
Go ahead, Meyer.
I
Thanks.
think, I mean, Gamze has a patch for this, and she need to add a unit test to it. So I think she will revisit this task, this patch again, and write some unit tests.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's fine.
So. Then we have a bug, time.ticker should be used instead of sleeping. David, do you know if anyone has picked this up?
I do not know. If it's not been assigned, I assume no one has.
Okay. And is this a bug or, I mean, is it?
It's a bad practice.
Oh, okay.
It's a best practice issue.
Does that make it a bug or an improvement?
Well, that becomes a philosophical question. I consider it a bug, but not everyone would. It's I don't know how you want to handle it.
Well, it's unassigned, so, and if anyone wants to pick it up, they're welcome to. But if it gets closer to the release and no one has, then I'm going to just move it to future.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay. Adding uniports immediately to the model. This is Mahir.
Yes, this is a workaround about the race in the core.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked to have a real solution by adding port capability to port create message, and I think Girish is studying about that. And this one is playing with the logs on ports, which Kent is changing this area. So I think we have to take this to hold to wait the Kent's patch.
Mm-hmm.
And after that patch, we may abandon this one or rewrite it according to the new lock mechanism.
Okay, I see that over here. So it's waiting for some work from Kent, possibly some work from Girish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thank you. Stale tcon gemport resources left on ONU after ONU delete. Okay, Girish?
Yeah, so this is a bug that we recently discovered. There were stale resources left on the OLT as well as ONU after ONU delete procedure. So the fix was done on the OLT adapter side, but there are some fixes still left on the ONU adapter. So I need to look into this. I plan to complete this before this release.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So this is still belongs here. That's great. And then there is the core panic debug mode. Ken, you created this 4 days ago.
Yeah. This is I have fixes. It's on Jenkins, a small fix.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do a hardware test. I thought it was resolved, but this morning I run it again and it failed. And I think like maybe Andy canceled it. Maybe Andy found something else on the system. I don't know.
Yeah, I can speak to that really quickly. So there seems to be a problem with one of the ONUs on the Tucson pod, and I'm looking into it. I canceled it when I noticed that the tests were failing because of that.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
I'll let you know when it's resolved.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. So that's that with the maintenance issues. Moving on to scale and performance tasks. Again, let's look at those marked as high priority first. And pipeline support for etcd and Kafka, monitoring that. Is Shrey online, or Matteo, you can give an update on this?
Yeah, so we are basically support for the etcd part, meaning that we are collecting numbers. Shara is still working on adding support for Kafka. Should be done soon. I'm going to touch base with him tomorrow.
So is the etcd one done? I see a close getter change, right?
Yeah, it's done, meaning that we are collecting some numbers that we were talking last week to find a way to generate some nice graph that we can easily relate with what's happening in the system, and that is not done yet. But I'm fine with closing this and open a new one to track the better presentation of the data.
Okay. All right. Scale pipeline does account for okay, I'm not clear what okay. Scale pipeline does account for LLDP disable. Okay.
Yeah, so basically that was a task that we open to improve the way in which we count the flows in the pipeline to make it so that the tests are flexible enough to account or not for the LLDP flows to be present or not. But then we realized that that flow is always pushed no matter what. So the test framework supports it. We have a patch ready to trigger it in the pipeline, just that's not merged because the flows is always there. So if we were toggling it off in the pipeline, then all the jobs will fail.
Okay, I'm not sure I followed, but the conclusion is that this will get done or not?
We need to decide. So from the testing perspective, that is done. We need to decide if we want to introduce a flag to push or not the LLDP flows in the app. But I don't think that's a priority right now, given that it's one flow per device.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure why this is a big deal, really. And it certainly doesn't belong in
yeah, I don't know why it's high now. Definitely.
Okay. I'll leave it up there, or we can move it out at some point. OpenOLT Flow Manager lock for PON port instead of global. Is that something?
Yeah, that's the one we found out yesterday morning. When we test with 500 WinUs and the AT&T workflow during the packet in, packet outs, there are a few cases in which we cannot find the gem port for a packet, so we don't know how to route it. And that's because in the flow manager, we have a lock that is shared across all the WinUs. So we need to move it on our per PON port base so that we don't lock everything for as long as we do today. So it's basically the same fix we did in the core for the devices and flows in the logical device plotted into the OpenOLT.
Okay, sounds good. So, looking at some of the other non-high priority tasks, evaluate and improve data model queries. Okay, is this on hold given the changes to the data model?
Well, that has been around for a while. It needs to be reevaluated for sure since we changed the data model. I will say that moving it to future is the right thing to do because I don't think anything is going to change in the future.
Okay.
Same for the Dark Telecom.
Yeah, this is a pretty big feature change to BPZIM, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we'll need to manage. We'll need to start managing different units on the same device.
Okay. BBSIM always restarts twice. Somewhat.
Yeah, that's a bug that Jono reported. Honestly, I haven't started looking into that.
also seems low priority, right? Yeah, I think we have plenty to do for okay, so we've talked about that. Optimize resource managers get flow ID function.
I
Okay,
haven't
yeah.
I haven't looked into this. I mean, there was no optimizations that I could really see. So if Tio or someone from Scalability Brigade really says that they are not able to scale due to some issues in this module, then probably I could spend some more time. But just a quick look, I really didn't see any optimizations that could be done there.
And are you aware of what this was about?
Sorry, was it a question to me?
No, it was a question to Ken. If he, I mean, since he created this story, is there something that he knows can be optimized?
This is a story that I created. Like it's really based on Mahir's findings, where there was one part of the OLT code where when we're trying to fetch flows, and it was just slow. And that's and as Girish said, it maybe that's with the current approach, maybe we won't be able to optimize it. Maybe we need to find a different approach in order to optimize it, because currently it's like there's so many requests to the KV store that cannot really be manageable when we have tons of flows. So we just need to I believe we need to find a different approach from that. I don't know how possible is that.
I'm not sure, sort of either in the time frame of this release.
Yeah,
so if
that's
you're
what I
able
was
to
thinking,
hit,
right?
If you are able to hit the numbers that are required for this release, then we should probably move this to. I mean, then we probably will tackle this particular problem in the next release.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If we meet our numbers, then it's okay.
Cool. Thank you very much. Matteo, is this related to the pawn port lock? Disabling pawn ports for Voltha is not consistent.
So that's
or
an
is
issue
it a BBSIM? Yeah.
That's BBSIM. Yeah,
okay.
It's an issue that Hardik reported a couple weeks back. I started looking into it because this needs to be fixed at a certain point, but then I got into scaling.
Isn't really a big priority, but I'll leave it in there for now.
Yeah, it's there because it was blocking one of the tests that Hardik was writing to run on the virtual pod. Because basically BBSIM is behaving in a different way than physical hardware.
Okay.
So I will say it's a best effort for 2.4. Hopefully we'll get it in, but the priority is on scale.
Okay. BBSIM should support discovery indication for a deleted ONU. This is also created by Hardik. Hardik, is it possible that you have the time to actually go into BBSIM and try and look at these two stories yourself? Because the Scalability Brigade is working on scale and we're pretty much swamped till the end of the month. So this is BBSIM features that are used for functional testing. And I don't think they actually shouldn't belong in scale and performance tasks, to be honest. But go ahead, yeah.
Yes, Saurav, I can take a look at it and maybe I can take help from Matteo as and where needed. So maybe I can take them up.
Thank you.
Because those test cases that we discussed in that brigade, that QA one, so those are kind of blocking for BBSIM because of these. On hardware, they are working fine at the moment.
Right. Okay. So I'm going. So if possible, then please do reassign these stories to yourself. And I'm going to, for now, move them to maintenance as they aren't strictly about scale and performance.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
they
you.
were there because we were tracking all the BBSIM issues.
They have labels,
in the,
so since
yeah.
it'll still show up in the brigade.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last story is get it keyword for triggering a scale test.
That's a request that came out during one of the brigade meeting. We have the get it keyword to trigger the physical and functional test. Would be great if we can add a keyword to run the scale test with the custom patches.
Okay, I'll leave it on. Could be useful for scale work. Okay, with that, I think we are at the top of the hour. So certainly we haven't finished, but we've gone through some pretty big chunks, including logging, test automation, scale tasks, maintenance, and PAL brigade. We will continue our JIRA review for the rest of the stories, but again, request to everyone, please do go in and look at your JIRA stories under Voltha 2.4 and update them as needed. Okay, thank you. We shall continue on JIRA reviews next week. Over to you, Zach.
Okay, thanks everyone. That's it. Talk to everyone next week.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye all.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.